Many thanks for joining us again on the Policy and Business Opportunity Podcast, live here on the African Diaspora channel in collaboration with Cross River Broadcasting Corporation, CRBC. My name is Janice Kobum, and today we are going to be delving into the Cross River State movie industry challenges and prospects. Now, let me put it to you that Nigeria is the second largest film producing country in the whole world. But what is surprising, and the question a lot of people are asking in Cross River State, is why is the culture, the vibrant culture and heritage of Cross River State not being projected on the global front? Now, these and more will be the crux of the conversation we'll be having today. And joining me to have this important conversation, very interesting as well, is Austine Lordlaz. He is an award-winning personality, trained film and theater director, AD, producer, writer, and lecturer. He has directed and produced a couple of features and short films. His newest film projects, Films Chronicles of the Island, is in the works for distribution after his much embraced September 23, a state government commemoration film. Now, and I can go on and on and on with your profile. It's quite rich, but I had to stop there. So drum rolls as I welcome Austine Lordlaz.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you internationally. Come on, award-winning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so, I get to see you all of the time during the carnival. Yeah. Yes, I forgot to add that you're one of the directors for...
Direct Freedom Band.
Direct Freedom Band, for Freedom Band. So I get to see you every time, when we have the carnivals on the carnival route, and the passion and intentionality that you exude during those times, like, whoa. So let's get to meet you officially from you.
So, you've made the introduction. My name is Austine Lordlaz. I feel I am condemned for film and theater. Yeah, so I make film.
Condemned, like sold out, totally.
Yeah, so I'm sold out for film and theater productions. Yeah. As long as it's film theater, then it is me. Yeah. A Nigerian from Abia State, but have actually lived in Cross River for a very long time, 25 years or more.
Over 2 decades.
Yeah, so grew in Lagos, then came down to Calabar some time ago. That's about 2003 for my first degree, after which my first degree was in theater. Later, then I had to also do my master's in directing. We have PhD in the works, and we've attempted a couple of film schools here and there. Yeah, ventured into lecturing with MME Songs Royal Academy, and I also do adjunct for people. Yeah, I organize Calabar filmmaking workshop, which it's thriving, but not without challenges. Yeah. Okay. So we make film. That's what I do.
Okay, so Lordlaz, can you do your shoulders like this? Like, yes. Okay. Nothing is wrong with it. It's just that, pride moment. All right. So I think the best place for us to start this conversation right now, is what is the current status of the film industry in Cross River State?
Okay, if I would respond to that without actually painting pictures that would seem ugly. Okay. I feel the current state of the film industry in Cross River State is, I think the word struggling best describes it. Okay. Not that it is not thriving, it is struggling to thrive, but then that shouldn't be the case, because I feel Cross River State has a very robust filmmaking history, given that great film projects have actually happened here. When you talk about is it Jetta Mata's Amazing Grace, that had a resounding reception. I think you also have Half of a Yellow Sun.
Part of it was shot.
Yeah, part of it was, I think a large part of it was actually shot in Cross River State. And Ebony Life TV also was here, and they made a whole lot of projects, TV productions. So looking at Cross River State now and the film industry, it is struggling, given that a couple of things are not just working the way it should. So it's more like the industry is more like a dysfunctional family, I would say.
Okay. It's quite pathetic, I must say, because I just had to heave a sigh of kind of relief, but it's quite pathetic, to say that the Cross River State movie industry is struggling. Why am I saying it's pathetic? It's pathetic because when you look around, there's so much in Cross River State that we have.
Yes.
So many untold stories that we have. So the culture is vibrant. The culture is rich. We have just so much, that can actually drive the economy of the movie industry in Cross River State, and yet it is still where it is today. So I think that we would begin to look at what is the challenges. Why do you say that, that it's struggling? Why is the industry struggling?
So there are a couple of factors that made me say that. We say that people can easily access your work anywhere in the world now. But if you look at our industry here, we see a couple of creatives who are trying to actually make a point, who are trying to make their work seen, who are trying to show their creative abilities. But then you realize that they have little or no facility to actually do that. You'll realize that a couple of them may not have that technical know-how. You realize that maybe there are policies that are actually not consistent that will enable them do that. You realize that there is no funding. You can't make film. I'm not talking about content production. I'm not talking about skit making. It's not a thing you point an iPhone and you record, okay? Film production entails a lot, okay? People may tell you that, they are making film. You see somebody, I've seen somebody who runs around with scripts here and there, and he said, I'm looking for sponsors. And how much are you looking for? The person says that he wants to make a big film, and the person's budget is 5 million naira. I start laughing. I say, nobody makes any good project with, it doesn't even pass 4. A low budget production. You're talking about making a feature film with 5 million naira. It doesn't work.
I think at this point, I would like to cut in and ask, why is movie making this expensive?
Movie making, like every other art, is expensive. Okay. And of course, we are in Nigeria. A couple of things are expensive now. Movie production is expensive. By the time you look at your gears, camera gears, ordinary 5D Mark III, it's about 1.8 million naira or so. So, and anybody who wants to actually lease it or rent it to you would want to make money from it. And you need crew members who you need to pay, right? Now, if you have a director, you need to pay the director. All right. You need to pay for those services. All those crew functionaries need to be paid. Actors need to be paid. If you get an A-list actor who knows his onion, it's about 5 million naira and above. We just finished from the set of Black Book Old Scores. And if I tell, I can't talk about that. But if you know the actors that are on that set and you hear figures, you feel this is the figures that people use in making YouTube films, and an actor is parting with them and all that. So movie making, like every other art, is expensive if you actually want to get it right. That is just it. Okay,
so let's still go back now to the challenges we were talking about, because you mentioned funding, and that is why I just had to hop up on that and ask why movie is that expensive. So just go ahead with the challenges that you were talking about.
Yeah, so we talked about funding, and then I also mentioned some policies, maybe inconsistent government policies within the state. For instance, we know that the then governor, His Excellency Donald Duke, initiated the idea of the Tinapa film studio, which was actually a welcome development. A whole lot of Nigerian filmmakers decided to embrace it. I know a couple of conferences that held there. People were even coming in to actually see that studio. In fact, I will tell you that's one of the best. That facility is one of the best that you can ever think of in Nigeria as at then. But then, after a while, you realize that I guess that dream, that opportunity, somebody lost touch with it, maybe subsequent administration, and watered it down. Another administration
came. There was no continuity because of the lack of continuity.
Yes.
For that vision.
Yeah, for that, there was lack of continuity for that vision. But I feel the administration that took over maybe somehow leveraged on it to actually achieve something. That's when we had Ebony Life, and it thrived. Ebony Life made a whole lot of film productions, recorded, scripted and non-scripted programming projects. Okay. We had wonderful projects from there, and people started even coming into Calabar from Lagos, from Asaba, from Abuja to audition to actually be part in productions made in Calabar. Maybe because we call them homegrown productions. It actually came from here. I know they even ventured into some of folklores too, to produce that are tied to the people of Cross River State. But then, after that administration left, another administration came, and from what I understand, things that went on, that administration didn't come with the shoulders of friendship and never saw anything good in retaining that very place. And of course, the woman, being a businesswoman, decided to say, no, this cannot possibly happen, while people have the understanding that there is Ebony Life TV, there is Ebony Life film running. It cannot just go. And a wise woman will always find alternatives.
So was that why Ebony Life, Moabodu, left with Ebony Life from Cross River State?
There are a couple of things I wouldn't...
No, you had a stint with Ebony Life. You worked with them.
Yes.
So you're in a better position to let us know why they left.
Yeah.
And most importantly, what is the present state of the Tinapa film studio as we speak? What happened to it? Is it still there? Do we have anything going on there?
So let me start this way. I am not in a very good position to talk about Ebony Live TV's relationship with Cross River State. So as at this material time, I cannot make any categorical statement concerning that.
Okay.
So, but I know that at some point, whatever was their collaborative franchise didn't continue, and they had to discontinue with the production.
Okay.
Then if we talk about the studio, I think Ebony Life's presence in the studio, at the studio Tinapa, kept it on and going because the facility was functional. We virtually made use of every aspect of that studio Tinapa. But immediately Ebony Life TV left. You know, even when you leave an apartment without touching it, a whole lot of things starts going down. So
goes through the process of wear and tear.
Yeah, though the wear and tear had to set in. And there was a time I visited the studio Tinapa. Videos were trending online. What has become the studio Tinapa? You see, why you could literally see wild animals, around the space.
What kind of wild animals?
As wild as things you wouldn't actually. I think wild is a snake is wild.
Yeah.
So if you could see a snake at Studio Tinapa, then know that and not just those tiny ones. You start feeling something is actually out of place. But then it went down and kept going down because nobody, the administration didn't actually step in to say, okay, there is a vision we can actually leverage on. So that brought the the whole thing about Studio Tinapa then down. Then I feel another thing too that made it go drastically down was the advent of what is it called? COVID and NSAS thing. Now some boys from wherever they came from had to actually break in. I feel they looted some part of the things. They literally broke into that space. So there was a time I needed to make film. I felt that space would be fine. We went through the water side of it, and we just couldn't make sense of that studio again. We just felt, no, this is actually not Studio Tinapa. So that brought that Studio Tinapa down. But recently, I understand that another level of management has actually taken over with Cross River State government, yes. Taking over the whole space because I understood that it was actually under the management of some bodies, right? So I am happy that there is some life coming into.
There's light at the end of the dark tunnel.
There is light. And when I saw it, I saw a video online when someone made a post. I actually said, okay, may not just be say person they talk, may not be AI. So I just had to actually drive down. I felt like, okay, this is looking like something good. All right.
Hope is coming.
Hope is coming. So, and I must say kudos to the minds and the behind the new development.
All right, fantastic. Now let's look at Collywood. Now, would you say that it is because of the coming of Collywood, that's talking about the immediate past administration now, there was something called Collywood,
yes,
which was to embrace, filmmakers in Cross River State. And I think at the time, we had Sean Judge, as the DG of Collywood at the time. So I would like to ask, one, was it because of the Studio Tinapa that wasn't working anymore that they came up with Collywood, or it is because the government of the day at the time had the idea of Collywood somewhere, and that is why Studio Tinapa failed to work? And then secondly, what is happening with Collywood as we speak? The DG, how did she handle Collywood at the time? Did she do well? Didn't she do well? Where are the equipments that was bought at that time to help filmmakers in Cross River State?
Let me respond this way. I had mentioned that there is something, one of the challenges that we experience here is inconsistent government policy.
Exactly.
Now, the policy or the ideas of Donald Duke, someone keyed into it a bit, okay? And after keying into it a bit, it worked for him, okay? And that was, the last of it was Ebony Live TV, keeping Studio Tinapa active. All right? Now, another government came in, which is Professor Bernard Yade's administration. I feel the inconsistency had to step in when he decided to float Collywood. All right. Even if he wanted to float Collywood, Collywood would have even flourished if he had actually situated it in Studio Tinapa. Make use of the facility that is there. There is a whole lot that would have been done, right? If he had actually leveraged on that facility there. That's world standard. That's international standard. Okay. So they didn't, for whatever reasons, I know fully well that running of Studio Tinapa is expensive. That is fine. But even when Ebony Life was there, when a part of Ebony Life left to Lagos, they had to also use a smaller part of that same Studio Tinapa. Even if they felt using the full Studio Tinapa was expensive or would be a challenge, the smaller part of it would have actually been very adequate. So that inconsistent government policy affected Studio Tinapa. There is no two ways about it. That's what happened. And because the administration decided to look away from that Studio Tinapa, it went down. Okay. Then now talking about.
So it went down and they brought in Hollywood.
Yes, it kept going down because nobody is there. Grasses started growing and all sorts of things started happening there. What you could just see is maybe before now, what you could just see, if you get there, you just see somebody lying down. You don't even know where they came from. You just feel, what's they do here?
So let's talk about Hollywood.
Yeah, now Hollywood. I feel Hollywood.
What was the idea behind Hollywood and how far did Hollywood take us?
I wasn't directly part of Hollywood. Maybe I would say I was indirectly part of it because I make films in Calabar. So maybe anything that comes from Calabar may be aggregated as a Hollywood project. I don't know if that is adequate. But then I feel that Hollywood was also another good initiative, great idea, but then not well executed. I feel Lady Shan George wasn't the first DG. I think there was another lady, Ego. Okay. There was Ego who was there and she handled it the way she felt she could handle it. But then.
Was she movie inclined?
Yeah, she does a couple of projects. Okay. She does a couple of projects. I know a couple of times I feel she lives abroad. Okay. And maybe those things work. There are people who feel that, because you dance around the film industry, that you have the experience of it. Okay. You may actually produce 1, 2, 3 films. It doesn't mean that you have a very good standing to run such a facility or whatever you wish to call it. Okay. But that was then after her stint, she had to run it with what I would call her people too. All right. And when you start running things with your people, it will revolve around your people and end with your people. Okay. That was that. I think, some time again, we saw the coming of Shan George. Okay. And when Shan George came in, we say, okay, let's see how, I think, was she a DG or chairman, whichever? Then when she came into, we also say, let's see this. But then
there was going to be a change.
Yeah.
Because Shan is, typically a movie person.
Yeah, she's a movie producer. She's one of those we grew loving to see Nollywood films. Yeah, she also came on. But then I also got surprised that things didn't work again. Maybe I just feel that, some of those recommendations or whoever did were actually not seen far away. Okay, because you cannot. I feel the rule of madness is doing a thing in same particular pattern and expecting a different result. So it was more like that kind of rule of madness playing out, and you play and. If you want a film setup if you want a film setup to flourish, it's not a thing of giving them 20 million naira. It's not a thing of throwing in 10 million naira to make a film. And people who may not actually understand how to run these very things, you can produce a film, but you may not actually be able to run an organization. All right. You can be a film producer, but you may not.
You don't have that administrative skill.
You don't have it. So no matter the celebrities that you may know, no matter the people that you may know, if you cannot run it, you cannot run it.
So Lady Shan was lacking in that administrative parts.
Well, I feel Lady Shan didn't actually meet up to my expectation when it comes to the administrative part of running that commission, if that's what it is. Yeah, that's my language. I feel she didn't have what it takes because if you look at it too, it was more like we are here to make film.
Okay.
All right. It's not you are here to make film. That commission is not you are here to make film. The governor doesn't throw in 10 million naira and you take the 10 million naira to make film.
So what was the idea of the governor? Because I'm thinking that the governor wanted a situation where we can begin to promote our locals, that are into the movie industry. We can begin to, use. I also know that and heard that, equipments were bought.
Good. Now, I good thing that you're mentioning this. When I said 10 million naira doesn't make film, 20 million naira wasn't to run that commission, I had to ask questions at some point. I understood that there were equipments bought. When she left, nobody is asking questions of where is the office of Collywood? Where is the store of Collywood? Where
there was no office?
I didn't know there was no office. I know that Lady Shan George will actually tell you that she had to run a couple of things from her house. But then my concern is, no matter where you ran it from, where are the equipments that were bought with the state's money? Okay, unless the money was Shan, this is for you and not for it. But I understand that there were equipment. They bought cameras, they bought lenses, they bought sound, lights, gears, and a whole lot of them. One thing, administration, they finish. Now maybe you don't finish. So Nami achieve this one. That kind of thing. So it plays out.
So for you're trying to say that, while the administration was over or wrapping up, the equipment wrapped up with
it must have wrapped up, because unless they are actually, because I know that if those equipment wrapped up, they should be able to say, I have submitted this equipment to so and so place. Go there and get it. But if that equipment is somewhere making money for somebody, then they didn't actually submit it.
But let's come back.
Maybe what happened to the equipment is what mostly happened to government vehicles, right? Because sometimes you see...
Lordlaz. Let's come back a little. What I'm asking is, Collywood was constituted. Right? There was someone in charge of Collywood. Equipments were bought. Did Collywood achieve the objective that it was constituted for?
No. I bet you a couple of the films that they actually used those equipments to make, and the money the governor actually gave them to make films, I doubt if the governor saw some of those films. I allegedly, someone even said that the governor saw the beginning of some of the films and got displeased. Okay, and he felt the question was, "Is this what you did with the money?" So I heard such allegedly. So those kind of, and you know how I know the then governor is somebody who doesn't keep his feelings within if he's excited, he shows it in money. Immediately, if he's displayed, he says it out. And so that is it. So those equipment, unless the person comes out to say, here are the equipment, then I will know that the person kept the equipment. Those equipment wrapped with that administration and whatever people that constituted that comprise that commission.
Okay. So now let's look at before we begin to talk about things like collaborations. In 2022, I was still trying to wrap my head around the training that was mentioned to me, but in 2022, actually, there was some form of training here in Cross River State by a Cross Riverian based in Abuja. I don't know if you can remember now, right? And that training was held here in Cross River State because for him, he believed that, look, I can give back to, young people or to upcoming movie stars in Cross River State. But it was quite discouraging to see that people from Port Harcourt, people from Uyo, and nearby states attended. But we could just pick a handful of those that attended that were Cross Riverians. What is happening?
So, let me respond to this.
You know the training I'm talking about?
I may not know the training because it's about...
While you speak, I'll just try to look for it.
from my introduction that I run Calabar Filmmaking Workshop. The first year I ran Calabar Filmmaking Workshop, that was the moment I was actually leaving Royal Arts Academy. I did the publicity. I had 27 people who attended that Calabar Filmmaking Workshop that week. The 27 people, about 18 of them came from Port Harcourt, Uyo, Abia, and Owerri. So that's to tell you how it is. So I feel the language is laid back. I know someone actually got upset when I used it some time ago online.
So I remember that. It's called Unleash Your Creativity.
That is Emmanuel Eyaba.
Exactly.
Good.
Emmanuel Eyaba.
Good. Yes. Emmanuel Eyaba is my senior, let me say my senior colleague. Okay. Emmanuel Eyaba DGN. Okay. You know this thing they call C finish? This thing where they call C finish, like we don't see, Eyaba grew from here before he actually broke big into directing. He's DGN, and I think he's the chairman of Directors Guild of Nigeria in Lagos, in Abuja. Okay. Yeah. Now Eyaba came here, he informed me. All right. In fact, in that workshop, he also asked me to come and teach. You were
one of the facilitators.
Yeah, facilitate. Yeah, screenwriting. Now, see, finish the COSAM. All right. And the people here I will tell you, there are a set of people who are laid back. They are just laid back. All right. Now, somebody comes up with such a noble idea.
And it was free.
And it was free. And they ask you, attend. You will not, but it is same set of people who will not attend. I will not mention name. I told you we just finished from an international film project. There is a project I recommended someone. The person says he does costume. All right. Another one says he does makeup. Right. I asked them to I told somebody to reach them. And when they reached out to them, they told them to present their mood board. Till today, that was the end of the presentation.
So are you trying to say that we in the Cross River movie industry are not prepared?
Some people in the Cross River movie industry are not prepared. And they remain with some moribund ideas of whatever thing that they do. I'm telling you, they remain with that idea. And just imagine that movie making workshop Eyaba brought to Cross River State. People would not want to be part of it. People didn't come for it, but it was free. And if you had actually added a fee to it, they will say it's because of the fee. Now he made it free. Still, people didn't come for it. People came from outside. I saw a whole lot of faces who came from Asaba. I felt like, whoa. So that is just it. Some of our people here are not prepared for bigger opportunities. That is just it. And then again, we need those trainings that they are running away from. They need them.
Exactly. So I think it brings me to my next question. Now, that is a big challenge on its own. But how do we start to nurture? How do we start to nurture these local talents? Because we have a lot of them.
Yes.
I think I've seen a couple of, we are going to go there though, when we have movies on cable TVs like Roku TV and the likes, Africa Magic and the likes, Netflix and the likes, and what we are having on YouTube as we speak now, because a lot of people are making movies for YouTube. I've seen a couple of, filmmakers in Cross River State try to push. There's a particular one that I'm very familiar with, but I've lost touch of the name right now, and they're doing so well. They have a page on Facebook and have a page on YouTube, and they do using the local dialects, to do those short movies. But how do we start nurturing? Because we have a lot of talents. We can't just say that, because some people are laid back, we should leave the industry to lie fallow. We can't do that.
No.
Right. So how do we start nurturing these young talents?
Just like you mentioned, the Cross River State has a whole lot of talent who can thrive as actors, producers, directors, cinematographers, every film crew functionary. There is a lot of them. But then it begins with self. Okay, we have potholes of different creative groups. Okay, there is one, I wish I could just recall the name. I feel I've seen even the guy who makes local content. Is it about Creektown or something?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
He's actually a friend on Facebook and an acquaintance physically somehow, then a colleague in the industry. So I know him. He's someone who actually makes good project. There are people who identify with him. All right. Then again, if we need to actually come together, there is some level of disunity and
let's talk about it.
Yeah, there is some level of disunity.
Okay.
And in as much as when we see, we pretend all is well, but the truth is there is disunity, there is rancor, there is envy, okay, within the industry. And it makes people feel, I no go do this person's project. I won't get on this person's project. Or the person may even be laid back when the person's, okay, I know there are people who may see an audition notice from me and they say it's Lordlaz. They feel it's a no-go area. But I will actually tell you that you'll see the film, the Black Book, Old Scores is coming out. I had 2 people from this state. Okay. I came to Actors Guild of Nigeria, Cross River State chapter. I dropped a notice. I said, we are looking for crew members in this category, in these areas. If you can accept this payment, reach me inbox. Okay, we needed about 10. Okay, but only 2 people actually reached out. So 2 people.
So I think we need to talk about what seems to be the problem. What's the problem with all of the envy, the rancors, and the difference?
For whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know why it is happening, but I feel it's just an individual thing.
Because I feel that if all this is going on in the movie industry in Cross River State, then there's this level of dissatisfaction, right? Maybe some people are dissatisfied about certain things.
They are dissatisfied about certain things. First, there is a body, and that's Actors Guild. And there was a time they tried having an election, which failed severally, drew attention of the national. They suspended a couple of people, and just like Nigerian politics, they suspend you. You decide to form a faction, and you decide to float your faction. And you feel that members of your faction or your group shouldn't actually be in this other part of the organization. And when that is happening, you feel, okay, if you are loyal to this, our end, you should actually do things that are around our circle too. So that keeps playing. They will not tell you it's just the window dressing that everybody will do. Another person will come here and tell you we are fine. That this industry is not fine.
Are you in a faction?
Okay, now the thing is, there is something I usually will do. I will answer this very well. I had to follow the instruction of the national. All right, because the state chapter.
So the national tried to wade into it?
Yeah, the national tried to wade into it. And it had to do with list. It started with registered and non-registered members. The national recognized the particular thing and said, this is the whatever I have constituted to conduct the election. Follow it. I followed that one. That is just it. So I followed that one, and that one held the election and won the election. People got agitated, and from being agitated, they formed a faction, registered another body. They called it Concerned Movie Makers in Cross River State, and that is there. And Actors Guild of Nigeria is also on the other side. I decided to remain with Actors Guild of Nigeria then, because that is the one. Even the chair, the chairman.
Where's the current chairman of the Actors Guild of?
That's
Cross River State chapter.
Beatrice Apala. No, Beatrice Akomjom, sorry.
Beatrice
Akpala, yeah. It's Beatrice Akom. Yeah, not Apala.
Apala is a broadcaster.
Yeah. Akpala, she was my classmate, so each time Beatrice comes.
Yeah, the next name is Akpala.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Beatrice Akomjom.
Okay, so there's just a lot going on around the film industry. And that is why I needed to have this conversation, because we need to unwrap what the challenges is,
Yeah.
right? And it is only when we unwrap the challenges that we are able to understand where we are going to from there. How do we begin to tackle these challenges and where do we go to from there? But you're doing great, showcasing or bringing out these issues, but we'll just leave that aside, because I think at this point we'd have to bring in the chairman of Actors Guild, Cross River State chapter, to address these challenges. But let's move forward now. How can the movie industry contribute to the economy of Cross River State?
The movie industry in Nigeria, actually, we will say is one of the highest drivers of labor, and it employs. Okay,
it's the second largest after Bollywood.
No, I'm just saying in Nigeria now. Yes. When you talk about employment, the movie industry creates a whole lot of employment. It doesn't only create employment for filmmakers alone. It creates employment for transportation, hospitality industry. It creates employment there too. For caterers too, it creates employment. Then you start talking about creative artists too. So if the Cross River State movie industry is thriving, it creates employment in those areas. So it helps to actually diversify the economy in some way. So, and then again, if the industry is thriving, Cross River State has a very wonderful tourism. Okay. It could also bring about tourism. Okay. It could drive tourism in Cross River State.
Drive the tourism sector.
Yeah, it could drive the tourism sector. And when you also push it closer towards the festive period, you will understand how wonderful the film industry is. If you have films to exhibit, if you have films to show, and if we also try to build more cinemas in Cross River State, that will be a whole lot for the movie industry to also push. So there is just many things it will drive literally the creative economy in Cross River State.
In Cross River State. Okay. Now let's talk about collaborations. Initially when you talked about movies, you mentioned the fact that movie production is very expensive, right? And in my head, I was like, why don't we collaborate? So let's talk about collaborations.
So, I mentioned to someone some time ago, this was about last week, when I told him I wanted to actually do a couple of short web drama series. It was on this collaborative franchise that I had to pitch it. Now, if you had watched the last Grammy, you will realize that almost everybody that mounted that podium to receive a Grammy will tell you about one collaboration or the other with one artist. And I will always say that you cannot have what is wonderful without bringing different people together to key into your dream. If people are open for collaboration, if they are open to collaboration, a whole lot of things will happen. I direct, I write. I don't necessarily need to be a writer. There is somebody who called me from Lagos. I said, Lordlaz, we come Calabar. We want shoot to. I said, okay. I said, what do you want make I do for you? He said, this is not about directing. Can you just help me coordinate? I don't know Calabar. Help me coordinate. I said, why not? Okay, I did it. The other day he asked me for my credit. I said, okay, for my name, how he will put it on the credit.
Credits. Yeah,
the end credit. I sent it to him. So if we collaborate, you may have the equipment. I don't have the money to actually rent all those equipment. We need to reach some level of agreement. Okay, I'll be directing this. I'll be editing it. All right. Let's just bring these resources together and make this. But then that challenge of individuality, I can do it on my own. Make I do my thing. Make I carry them. I know I usually tell some people who want me to come on their project, I said, I usually say I have a very strong presence that may make you feel I am taking your shine. Are you comfortable with it? It's a default setting. Yeah. All right. I tell you, are you comfortable with it? Because if you ask me to, and I just come on my film set, you may start seeing more of me and you get angry. So I tell you, if you're comfortable. So individuality makes people feel, let me do my thing. Then when you do it, you realize that there are holes. Okay. If you push your work, I push your work. It's a win-win for us. Okay. So if we can actually have collaborators, the government can even collaborate with the private sector. All right. Private sectors can collaborate. We can, Peter can meet Paul and they collaborate as long as it's yielding effort, as long as it's yielding success. That's even, I know it's even easier now that people can actually, access the social media. Facebook itself even had to create room for collaboration because they know that one person may not be able to drive something and they feel, okay, you have more traffic. Let's collaborate and get this done. Okay. So collaboration is actually a way, a win-win for anybody who wants to thrive in the movie industry.
So I think I like the fact that you mentioned government collaboration. So what kind of policies do you think that we need in the movie industry right now that would drive that sector properly?
So if the government understands that that we need a steady movie industry, I don't know what they want to call it. Even if you call it Hollywood, I don't care. But as long as you have that facility, you equip it. And now equipping it, you are not equipping it for a particular set of people. You are not equipping it for political reasons. Okay. You are not equipping it, for I know you reasons. You are equipping it knowing that, we have this facility. These people will actually need to make film. Now, how much do you rent a Mac 3? Okay. And they tell you, say, okay, we'll give you half of the price. Okay. We'll give you half, make a return to us.
Subsidized.
Let's subsidize and it works. If the government establishes a studio and drops equipment there for people to use free, I bet you in 6 months, it will go down. So as long as someone is actually watching it, establish that, facility, equip it with whatever thing that is required to drive the Cross River movie industry. And then if there is any seed fund you can actually do to ensure that it is running, it runs, and also have it at the back of your mind that you are establishing a business, and that business is to what was the
maximize profit.
Is to maximize profit and also help creatives within the state. As long as you have that objective and you want to push it and you push it well, it will thrive. I know, but then thriving doesn't mean getting fish heads into places. Okay, thriving means you bring people who can actually drive this industry, make things happen. And of course, there is this evaluation tool that somebody should always watch over it, serve as a watchdog, check how it is thriving. Of course, if you invest, you are expecting return on investment. The ROI must be there. So if you feel the person is not actually doing well, you fire the person and the person leaves. If you run it like it's a settlement, it will not work. Okay. So the government partners with the creatives or establish a facility, film facility, well equipped, it will thrive.
Okay. Now, another thing that, is more like a challenge for me is the fact that if you go on, most of the cable TVs that we have today, you see there's African Magic Yoruba, there's African Magic Igbo, there's African Magic Hausa. And I'm wondering, with all of the beautiful culture, very vibrant culture that we have in Cross River State, can't we begin to make stories out of what we have in this state? Why are we not pushing the culture, the tradition of the state? Now, funny thing is, we have people that have started embracing our culture unknowingly. I have seen couple people want to wear the Efik traditional onyonyo. That's marriage gown that if a woman wears when she wants to get married.
Yes.
Okay. We have seen people do that. I've seen people like literally, they're not from Cross River State. They're not Efik people. They tell you, oh, if you see that you're dressing, we must dress it. You know? So people have started accepting this tradition, this culture of ours. But we have creatives in Cross River State. Why are we not pushing for the world to see us better?
I think I would say people are laid back because of fund. Making, I know they may target, what is it called? They will call it epic movies.
Yes, epic movies.
When making epic movies will actually require a lot of funds, because sometimes you need to go back in time. All right. Yeah. Sometimes you need to actually do that. But then when I came into Cross River State, I tell you that, one of the things I fell in love with was their folk songs. It's so wonderful. Then I usually take time, even during, what is it called? Do they call it in Yorekwe, right?
Okay,
Yorekwe. Yeah, I usually go there. I just feed my eyes. I say, these masquerades keep coming out more beautiful every year. And there was, I think, who was that? There is a creative I told, the makers of this masquerade should be treasured and studied. Okay. I just told them, the makers of this masquerade, treasure them, study them, because it's a whole lot altogether. Cross River State has a very robust, story, traditional stories that we can actually leverage on to tell at international levels.
Exactly.
Okay, push them out there. I understand that there is African Magic Igbo, African Magic Yoruba, and all that. While I may not push that they create anything African Magic Efik, is because it's like politics. It's a game of numbers. Okay, they can't possibly create that, because there are other ethnic potholes that are in Nigeria. So if you look at Yorubas, you count the state's population, Igbo's state and population, but this epic could also push into African Magic. I know they have African Magic Epic or something. I don't know what they call it too. So if Cross River State, private sectors will actually say, okay, we'll actually stop seeing filmmakers as beggars, okay, and decide to say, come, let us tell the Cross River story. Okay, let us tell the Cross River story. I know there was an administration that commissioned about 5 projects at a time and just say, make a story. Okay, if we say, let us tell the Cross River story, and you say, I'm commissioning 10 stories that will originate from our tradition. Let's tell our own story and push it. We can actually start from there. Okay, a whole lot. I usually don't belong to the class of people who will say the government is not doing this, because I will always feel that they will not do. It didn't start today. Okay, they will not do. The government will not do.
The government can do.
If the government does it, I will.
The government provides that enabling environment. You don't expect the government to do everything. You as a filmmaker, when you want to start making movies, when you decided that you want to do film, you did not decide to do film because you know that the government at one time or the other will come and give you money, right? Yeah. The government provides that enabling environment for you. Yeah. You just talked about something here, private partnership. Yeah.
Private partnership is there.
Yes.
Now, the thing about private partnership is this. When somebody, you say, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. The private partnership may tell you, I am giving you as little as 20 million naira, but you will tell the story I want you to tell.
Oh, so there's a clause.
So there will be a clause, and they start telling you, and the Nigerian film industry has a style. If you has a taste, if you look at it, you will see that there was a time we were actually thriving on love stories. From love stories, you get into comedy. From comedy, I think you're now seeing action thrillers coming out from Nollywood. Okay. And there are moments you may just go this other way and somebody tells you, we are not there. I know a couple of times I actually attempted something on horror and somebody told me, Lordlaz, are you sure that people will look this way? I say, we can be very convinced.
So it has a feel.
It has a feel, but then it doesn't mean that you cannot scratch the Cross River culture. It is beautiful. I know that one. We have wonderful spaces, locations, virgin locations to actually explore. I don't know if you have actually seen the beauty of that. Is it Abokim Waterfall?
Yeah,
you've not seen the beauty of Obudukatoran. There is a whole lot of places to actually shoot movies in Cross River State. We have them. I was having a meeting with some producers in Lagos sometime. The question is, Lordlaz, if we come to Cross River State to make film, are we sure of these hotels? What equipments do we have? Now, there are high-end movie equipments that we do not have in Cross River State. All right? And it requires a whole lot of investment, huge investment. All right? Those guys would rather feel, let's come in with a few crew members and fly the talents, the actors into Calabar and shoot. They would not want to go through the stress of having about 20 vans running on the road to actually deliver equipment down here. It's a whole lot. So if we have people who can intentionally, not because you want to support, investment is not 20 million naira. All right. If you want to invest in the movie industry, it's a whole lot. So you come all out and you feel you want to do this. And when you are doing it, you don't get fish heads to actually handle your investment. It will not fly. So as long as you're doing it, you do your research very well. Partner with people who can actually help you fly. I know no business peaks at the first year, but then it's consistency. Just get into it and it runs.
Okay, I think we'll be wrapping up this conversation. It's quite interesting because I can go on and on. Right. But I really need us to talk about what's happening on the YouTube and in the cinemas right now. We have movies that, we basically just go to the cinemas. We have people that are taking advantage of the YouTube space and making so much money. So what's the difference between movies that go to the cinemas and movies that go to YouTube? And why do we have actors now focusing more on YouTube than making productions that go to the cinemas?
So to make project for the YouTube appears relatively cheap.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And if you have this facility and you feel you can actually tell a story that revolves around here, and that means you have a limited space, production costs will also reduce, and by the time you recycle a group of actors over and over and you tell them, okay, I'll be making YouTube films for 3 months, I'll be shooting you, I sign you on a contract, I'm not paying you per movie now, you're on a contract to actually make projects that come within these 3 months. So it's cheaper. If you want to go for the cinemas and high streaming platforms, that means you should have some budget. You should have the fund to actually roll. People can make very controlled film with 5 million naira, some 2 million naira for YouTube, and it works. But before you start talking about the cinema, the story must be strong in all ramification. It must actually be that story that will compel people to leave their comfort zones to come to the cinema to see your film, because they will feel, is it not this thing that I can also see from my phone? Home. That is just it. So if it is that compelling, that's what they do now. A couple of people don't even have time to watch your film. Immediately you want to go for distribution from the trailer, or they start skipping your film. You will hear questions like, who they inside? Exactly. First, when you start seeing who they inside, then by the time they see the face, they rate, okay, if you don't pay them this amount of money, don't pay them. They check locations, look at those things. They rate your films straight up. They know how much you must have spent on it. Yeah. So, but then the cinema takes a lot. Okay. It's process. And of course, anybody who tells you there is no politics, it's a lie. I told you I have a work that's up for distribution. I know how we don't actually work out for them. Then I know how much we've actually done a couple of things. Yeah. Okay. I know how much I also spent to for the premiere of the movie and a whole lot of that. Okay. So the YouTube is not gated. I feel the cinema is more gated. Okay. You can film this room and you throw it on YouTube. Nobody asks you a question. Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you so much. We have to, wrap things up on this end. But if someone is watching us right now that has the monies, has the fund to invest in the movie industry in Cross River State, what's that one thing you would tell the person?
Cross River State has a very wonderful space that will thrive as long as you wish to invest. We have talent. We have creatives with great technical know-how. We have people who can actually give the person return on investment. All right. We have people who will make great projects that will make the investor marvel. So there is a whole lot to tap from the Cross River movie industry. We dey here.
I like that. All right. Thank you so much, Austine Lordlaz. It's wonderful talking to you.
Thank you very much.
So when I used to see you with the Freedom Band, I didn't know you had so much like this inside of you. And so it's so beautiful sitting down and you unleashing all of these things. Thank you so much for coming to our studios.
It's a pleasure.
The African Diaspora Studio in collaboration with CRBC. In the course of, in cause of time, I think we'd have to get the chairman of Actors Guild Cross River State chapter to tell us what's really happening and why the Actors Guild. Because one of the things that is the policy and formulation of Actors Guild is to see to the interest of actors and all of those in the movie industry. Yes. So if they are failing on that part, then is a problem. So we have to get them to talk about what's really happening in the guild. But it's, like I said, wonderful talking to you, and I'm going to leave you for now.
Thank you very much.
Again, Cross River State is very viable when we talk about investment, and we have the creative ability. We have beautiful locations and sceneries. We have the people, the warmth, the hospitality is here in Cross River State. So if you're watching us and you feel like you have monies to invest in the Cross River State film industry, please go ahead. Don't get discouraged, okay? We will deliver, and we will deliver until you marvel. I had to use the words of Lordlaz. But thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Policy and Business podcast on the African Diaspora channel. My name is Janice Kobum. See you again when I get to see you. Thank you.